Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. This is your Manchester United versus Liverpool preview. And I must just say at the start, let's take a look at this league table because questions need to be answered as to why Liverpool are a whopping 22 points ahead of Manchester United. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. And this game is absolutely massive. It's coming very quick on the heels of the FA Cup game. We've also got these comments coming in about Erik ten Hag from The Athletic and the potential that he will stay. Which, I mean, look, I'll give you my honest opinion on that. I don't actually think he will, which, you know, I'd like him to stay for a multitude of reasons as well, but I don't actually think he will. Apologies, it's not live, by the way. Get your comments in below, though. I mean, I'm having a night out tonight, and I'm not running up the hill at 8 o'clock. But you've got an important part to play. We've got a great show ahead. But also, I want to read these comments when I'm in the pub tonight or walking back tonight. I want you to tell me whether you would keep Ten Hag or get rid of Ten Hag. And then write me a couple of sentences why. Because if you're Ten Hag out, you've got to accept it will probably be Southgate or Potter. And why is that better than what we have at the moment? Because we'll keep a load of players that you want to get rid of. And if you're Ten Hag in, why is that gap so big? And how will he improve us next season? I just want to get market survey, research, whatever you think, and bring it into the next live show. So get those comments in. Manchester United against Liverpool then. I mean, look, I will say this. I would never say this, but I don't give as much hope. I really think come Monday morning, if we lose to Liverpool by, you know, a comfortable margin, 3 or 4-0, if I read, get this manager out, sack Ten Hag, you know, it's the final straw, I think I'll pull my hair out and go bold with him because I walk into this game and I say 60 injuries, no left back all season, no backup holding midfielder. We've only played our starting centre-back pair once or twice this season from the start of a game. One striker, our best two players just, you know, have gone AWOL, Rashford and Bruno. And people think that we can go into a game, and we've got no centre-backs really at the weekend. You know, we've got a massive game against Chelsea where we'll be knackered. Liverpool are flying high for a title. They're massive favourites. They've got like a 90% chance of winning this game. So I don't want to hear people going, well, it's a great leveller. I mean, of course we'll have a go. We'll have a go, but there's a reality as well. Like, we've stung them from the FA Cup. Can they get stung twice? In the second half of the FA Cup, they should have gone and won that game. They got loose, they got irrational, they got complacent, and we got back into the game. I don't think they're going to do that twice in a month. They're too good. And we have got nothing like our best team. Absolutely nothing like it. In fact, look, let me just go through this because I want to talk about what's been said about Ten Hag, of course, but this is the preview. That's if Varane's fit. If Varane's fit, then it's Kambwala. And you've got a back four that just makes no sense. Wan-Bissaka's got to go back to left back because he did well against Salah last time. Dalot's got to go back to the right so that we can at least try and push up that side a little bit. Kambwala and Maguire at centre-back have never really played together and they're fifth and sixth choice centre-backs or at least third. You know, it's edge of the box stuff. We're not playing a high line is what I'm trying to say, which means we either go into this game and play deep and counter, or we leave the midfield wide open and try and press high and let them break on us. Well, Chelsea are Chelsea. Chelsea were very lucky to beat us. The referee helped them out. They got a couple of deflections, etc. Liverpool are one of the best teams in Europe at the moment. And if you leave that midfield open like a game of basketball and go, you attack, we attack, they'll absolutely kill us. So, and they won't be merciful. So I actually think we've got to shut the midfield down. We've got to be compact. We've got to play on the edge of our box. And we're going to have to counter. Yeah, I think it's the only logical way, because if we go and play like we did against Chelsea, and I understand why we did that, they're crap, we're crap, you have a go, you try and win the game. But against Liverpool, you can't do that. You can't do that against Man City, you can't do it against Arsenal. They will kill us, and they will kill us dead. So I think we've got to play deep. I think we've got to play compact. I mean, Casemiro apparently has a bit of a knock, so he might not play himself. So Varane and Casemiro in that team might not play. In which case, do you put McTominay in again? Or, you know, I mean, how bad is Amrabat that you wouldn't play him when he's actually quicker and more combative than McTominay? It's incredible. So it just shows you how bad a signing Amrabat's been. But I don't see a way. I don't see a way at all. If we could get a draw out of this, I think it'd be absolutely fantastic. And I'm not one to down tools. I think one thing we did learn from that Chelsea game, by the way, is because I've seen so many clips. I've seen so many reactions to those clips. And I don't regret them. They're honest. Would I say them today? No. But in the heat of the moment, they're honest, passionate reactions about the club that I love. And I think that's the most important thing. Some of the things you say, I've been accused of all sorts over the years, and I'm sure you have as well. Not a real fan, faking it, this, that, and the other. And then you go too far, and people are like, "You've gone too far." It's like, that was horrific against Chelsea. It was absolutely horrific. I've seen that clip today as well, where Gallagher basically throws Mainu across the floor and the referee's looking at it, doesn't even give a yellow card. That refereeing decision was abysmal. It was a hard loss to take. One of the worst I've seen in a long time. Look, the Brentford game was total horseshit. Fulham losing at home, that was horrible. But we didn't deserve to lose against Chelsea, and that's what made that so bad. But we will get beat by Liverpool. I can't tell you how stunned I would be and happy I would be if we could beat them and derail their title race. But I think this is just... Man City were really lucky to play Villa on Wednesday night, with Villa missing McGinn, Watkins and Martinez, and then benching Torres, Tielemans and Bailey because they just didn't think they could win. They caught a crap Villa team at the best possible time. Well, I think Liverpool are catching a very hard away game at the perfect time. Like, we are so decimated by injury. We don't really have any options. We don't have much of a squad anyway. And they're rolling into town with massive confidence. So I think they're catching it as a very good time. I hope there is an element of David and Goliath. I hope there is an element of it's a derby. The crowd will certainly be up for it. But I just can't see it. I just can't see it. Now, people will say, what about Mason Mount? Could you put Mason Mount in this team? You definitely could. I thought he played really well against Chelsea in a cameo, and I thought his goal against Brentford was fantastic. So I would love Mason Mount to start, but there's only one place I would start him, and that is basically where Bruno Fernandes plays. So I don't think he will start, because I just don't think there is a place in that team for him in a game of this magnitude. You certainly couldn't go Mainu, Bruno, Mount as a midfield three, I don't think. So I think Bruno will start. I don't think Mount will. On Rashford, I saw the show earlier with Beth, and there was a poll about whether Rashford should start, and I think 85% said no. I mean, for me, this is just the most obvious thing in the world. Marcus Rashford shouldn't start this game. And I know Eric Ten Hag spoke about him, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But Marcus Rashford shouldn't start this game because he didn't do anything against Charlton. He didn't do anything when he came on against Chelsea. And Anthony and Garnacho were our best two players. So they have to start. And Rasmus is way better than Rashford as a striker. So the front three is the only area that picks itself. Now, will that front three be good enough to cause Liverpool any nightmares? I mean, you've got a 21-year-old, you've got a 19-year-old, and you've got a guy in Anthony that's still trying to establish himself. So it might be a walk in the park for Liverpool with that front three. It's very raw. It's very innocent. It's very much learning its craft. But to pick Rashford and drop one of those three players would be completely and utterly wrong. We live in a weird world. I've said my bit on Rashford. I've told you about the disappointment, and I've told you how much of time and effort I invested in him for many years. He maybe can get back. I don't know. But he shouldn't be starting this game of football. And for anybody that has a problem with people who have a problem with Rashford at the moment, stop turning into Player FC. You're meant to support Manchester United FC. When a player's not good enough, they need to get called out. It doesn't matter who it is. When a player delivers, they'll get called out for that as well. And that's the way it should be. When you look at Marcus Rashford last season, he scored 34 goals. This season, 35 goals. He scored 10 this year. And yet, he's had loads of shots. Like, I think he's in the top 10 in the Premier League forwards for shots at goal. So, he's not delivered, mate. Like, it's just not delivered. Forget the jogging. Forget the tracking back. Forget the assists, because the assists have been rubbish again, as we know. But actually, I think he's had 3 Premier League assists this year, and I remember every single one of them. One of them was a blasted cross along the ground that Eriksen spun in against Forest. The other one was that blasted cross in the Champions League that Rasmus managed to get his head on. And then there was another one, which again was a cross aground, was his best one, and I can't remember what game it was against. I can't remember who it was. I think it was for Garnacho on the back post. So, yeah, he's got 3 assists in the Premier League this year. It's not good enough. He's not scoring. He's not assisting. Is that not the number one reason not to pick him? Like, he's regardless of the wage, regardless of the age, regardless of the jogging, he's not delivering. He's not scoring goals. He's not creating goals. He's not delivering. We're Manchester United. There is no way Liverpool, Arsenal or Man City would start a player on reputation in April when they've been bad all season. There's just no way. So I don't even know what the argument is. There is an argument to say, well, why does Bruno start? But, you know. And what I will say about the captaincy is, who else would you give it to? We've had this chat before. You know, I've seen Keno and other people talk about the captaincy of Manchester United. Who else would you give it to? It's a massive problem, but who else would you give it to? And you go back to that Conor Gallagher push on Mainu, and you go back to Enzo Fernandez getting in on Mason Mount. And I just, you know what? It's a minor thing, but it makes me want to cry, because I'd be there. You'd be there. And I've seen United players in the past be there. Mainu's 18. He's getting thrown across the floor from behind by Conor Gallagher. Mason Mount's going back to Chelsea with the whole crowd against him, and Enzo Fernandez trying to act Billy Big Bollocks to get the fans on his side. Oh, yeah, you're a traitor, mate. You're a traitor. Yeah, you're a guy who came here because they paid £100 million for you. I've been here since I was a kid, mate, and they sold me. Yeah, but you know what? People should be stepping in for Mount and Mainu there. That's what leadership's all about. You go and get involved. Roy Keane would go and get involved. Gary Neville would go and get involved. Vidic would go and get involved. You go and get involved. That's what leadership's all about. You get yourself involved. And when you see someone do that to Mainu, the next tackle on Conor Gallagher, you make sure you get involved in it. We don't have that mentality. We don't have that understanding. Yeah, Bruno runs around a lot, and I think he's a better player than he has been this season, but he's not the right he's not got the right aggression, and he doesn't step up and get in the way and, you know, lead and protect some of our players. That's not his fault. Who else is going to do it? And also, at 3-3, we should have took a moment. He should have took a moment at 3-3 and said, the game's gone. We should have won it. We'll talk about it in the dressing room. The game is gone. Kill it. Kill the game. Stay together. We kill the game. We don't go gung-ho to try and win it. But I think Bruno was one of the ones going, yeah, let's go for it. Because I think that's what he is. He's not that type of a leader. He's a leader by what he does when he's performing. And he's a leader by the way that he always wants to play. And he never stops running. But he's not a leader in the sense that he's switched on to what's going on in the game and when you need to shut it down. And he's certainly not the sort of guy that when Mainu gets thrown down or Enzo Fernandez is having a go at Mount, he's going to step in there and say, do you want some? Because that's what we need. That team is crying out for that sort of character. Maguire couldn't do it. You know, Varane's never fit. Casemiro looks like he's checked out. So who is going to do it? And I think this is something that United need to look at because, you know, funnily enough, I think Rasmus would do it, but he's years off. Maybe Mainu himself will do it, but he's years off. We need more generals in that team, and we just don't have them. We really, really don't. So score prediction, I fancy Liverpool. Get your comments in below. Now, of course, I'm expecting to see the comments about Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out, and why. And whether, if you're Ten Hag out, you're happy to go with Southgate or Potter, because that's where we're heading. Or whether you're Ten Hag in, how long would you give him next season and why, etc. So what's this all about, Mark? Well, this is about Laurie Whitwell's piece in The Athletic, where after my show this morning, where I said Ineos have basically made their decision, and I think they have. I think they're looking to move Ten Hag on, and I think they're looking to bring Southgate in. Ineos would like to stick with Ten Hag, and he would also like to stay at United. There's been a good sense of collaboration and discussions between Ten Hag, Sir David Brailsford and Sir Jim Radcliffe recently, and this is coming in from Laurie Whitwell. Now, a lot of people have said, well, that's really interesting because you're pro keeping Ten Hag next season, Mark. It sounds like it's coming from a good source that Ineos are pro keeping him, and yet they're talking about Southgate, and you think a decision's already been made. Well, look, I know that Southgate features highly in conversations and talks. I won't be moved on that. I trust where it's coming from. If Ineos have decided to sack Ten Hag, then they probably would do it now, because then you could start interviewing Nagelsmann in April. So I still think there is a chance that they could keep Ten Hag, but my feeling is that they won't, because my feeling has always been that they won't. I think that they should, and I really hope Laurie Whitwell's correct in the things that he said, because for me, this season's a write-off. And I don't even judge this season on anything. I get confused with people who are trying to say, you know, where's the good football? Why aren't we in the top four? I've given up on this season. I think it's a complete write-off because I just think it's flawed. Every time you think you're going to do something, oh, there's another three players injured. You know, you just can't turn the corner. Every time you turn the corner, there's a big bloody bear there and you can't turn it. So I think this season's a write-off. Apart from the fact it's a totally shit season. It's a total write-off. I can't wait to get to the summer. But there's a chance we could finish it with an FA Cup final, which I think is remarkable because we don't deserve it. You know, where we are in the league is 6th place. I think that's miraculous, really, considering how bad we've been. So if we can finish 6th place and get the FA Cup final, we've made something interesting out of this season. We have got to get 6th place, by the way. We can't go into the Conference League. You know, it's embarrassing not being in the Champions League when it's about to change. That's a real sickener. But after the season we've had, I'm not surprised. The FA Cup, you know, I don't think we'd beat Man City. I'd love to get Chelsea in the final, actually, and have a go at them, but I don't think we would beat them. But if we can get an FA Cup final out of it, that's absolutely fine. Now, he goes on to say that several figures around Manchester United feel Ten Hag deserves to operate in an Ineos structure. While performance and results have added pressure to the manager, there is an acceptance that the sheer amount of injuries haven't helped. I think this is positive news if it's true. Erik Ten Hag is said to be open to working in a more head coach-based role and feels that following several talks with Sir Jim and Sir David Brailsford, they have an alignment in terms of their vision. This sounds very positive as well. Several European clubs see Ten Hag's first season as an overachievement, given his circumstances, and this season as underwhelming, leading to an overall solid tenure so far. Figures at Ajax wish for his return, but Ten Hag is not interested. Ineos would advocate a young yet established British coach to join the backroom staff, but Ten Hag believes nationality is irrelevant, and it is. Of course it's irrelevant. It doesn't really matter where that person comes in. So look, if all that was true from Laurie Whitwell, I'd be quite happy. I'd be like, let's get to the end of the season. Let's get 6th place. Let's try and win the FA Cup, or at least get to the final. Let's write the season off and let's go into next season with a real hunger. Let's get some good deals in and out and let's go again. I'm happy for that. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. This Liverpool game could have a big impact on that. And I also think that, you know, there is a massive amount of people out there, mainly in the media, who refuse to talk about anything other than shots on target at Man United's goal. And yet we've got the 6th best defence in the league. It's all about how many shots we concede, but what's the quality of the shots? Like, what's the quality of the shots? Let's be honest, a good shot tends to go in against Onana. So the quality of the shots aren't very good, are they? Or we're blocking them, or they're going wide, or they're from the edge of the box. I think the most important stat for Manchester United is we've not had a starting left-back all season. We've not had our starting centre-backs all season. We have no backup to Casemiro. We're relying on an 18-year-old in his breakthrough season to make that midfield anywhere near relevant in Kobe Mainoo. We've got one striker who's only just turned 21. Our best player is AWOL in Rashford. Our captain has had his form drop off a cliff. And we've had over 60 injuries. So I think they're the numbers that really I look at. And we need to solve that for next season. And only then do I think we can really start to judge where we are. So look, I hope there's some truth in it. I really do. I hope Ineos are of a mind to give Ten Hag a proper go at it and a proper summer. I really do. But I'm not convinced on that because I know the interest in Southgate is genuine, and that is terrifying, but it's true. Of course, you've got to look at it as well. If Ten Hag was to go, you've got to bring Sancho back. You've got to give him another chance. You're probably going to give a load of players that would get sold from the current team another chance. And I think that's a great point as well. And I don't think people want to talk about this, but it's true. When you watch Casemiro against Chelsea, when you watch Varane, when you watch Maguire, when you watch McTominay, when you watch Rashford, when you watch Bruno, how many of those players actually think they're here next year? How many of those players are actually thinking, I might be going in the summer because they want to or because the club want them to? It's really difficult for Ten Hag with an injury crisis to be counting on players that probably aren't totally engaged. I'm not saying they're not trying. I'm not saying that they're downing tools. But there are a few players in that team that quite rightly might be part of the discussion to leave this summer. And yet we're reliant on them to deliver in these big games. I'm convinced we'll get 6th place, by the way. When you go back and look at that league table, we've got really winnable games. And people are talking about us being caught. Who's going to catch us? West Ham, we've got a game in hand on. Newcastle are 4 points behind us. Chelsea if they win, are right up our arse, but they're inconsistent. Brighton are ridiculously inconsistent. I think we will get. I think we will get 6th place. What I desperately want us to do with 8 games to go is get at least 4 wins, because I do not want this team to be the worst ever Premier League side, which is what Ten Hag inherited. And that, to me, would be very symbolic. He inherited the worst ever Premier League side in Man United's history. And 2 years later, he may well take that crown for mitigating reasons, the injuries, etc. But you don't want that to happen. But it's interesting. I mean, look, what's your thoughts as well? Do you think overall Ten Hag has overachieved or underachieved? I think in his first season he overachieved because he took over the worst ever Premier League side and we got 3rd place and we won a trophy. We did overachieve. I thought it was miraculous in the first year to do that. This season we've massively underachieved, but that's because we should be in the top 4. We should still be in the Champions League. So we have underachieved, but you could also say Onana took way too long to adapt to the league. He didn't adapt till bloody January. Mason Mount has been injured for most of the season. So 2 of his big signings have failed through no fault of his own. I mean, Onana's taken too long to adapt and Mount's been injured. Rasmus doesn't get any service, which is on the manager, really. He needs to sort that out in the summer. Rashford, you wouldn't expect to go from Player of the Year to what he's done. Casemiro, you wouldn't expect to go from Vice Player of the Year to what he's done. You wouldn't expect Martinez to be out all season. You wouldn't expect Bruno to play so badly as well. So, look, we've definitely underachieved this season, but there are certainly reasons for it. I mean, Marcus Rashford scored 35 goals last year. He's got 25 less. It's going to have an impact. Bruno is nowhere near the player he can be. Casemiro's nowhere near the player he can be. Mount's not played. Martinez has not played. Luke Shaw hasn't hardly played. So you can see why we fell off. We've definitely underachieved, but I can see why we fell off. And actually, when I look at that league table, I sort of go, we're probably ahead of where I thought we would be. I mean, 6th place, when you think of all the things I've just listed there, I know we don't like it, but it's not actually that bad. Spurs, Villa, Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool are all better than us. We're the best of the rest at the moment. And if we can keep that place, get to the cup final, keep Ten Hag, go for it again in the summer, assess it at Christmas, then I'd be happy with that. Because there's no guarantee that Ten Hag will be here in a year. If he fails again, he's got to go. But I just think we need to give that summer. Anyway, get your comments in below. Really want to see what you think about the in-out situation and why. Really want to be reading those and taking some notes on that. Also, the match ahead at the weekend, I think it's a write-off, really. I don't think we've got a chance, which, I don't think we've got a chance. Every part of me wants us to win after Thursday, but I just think they're going to be too powerful with the players we've got out. Get your comments in below, smash a like on the video, and I'll speak to you all soon.